After analysing hundreds of competitive Fortnite players, from people just starting out all the way up to people trying to qual for FNCS Division 1, I noticed that every single one of them makes the exact same 7 mistakes. And these are the mistakes that are quietly holding them back from improving and getting better placements. So I'm just going to be real with you in this video, and some of these are 100% going to apply to you, but the good thing is every one of them is super easy to fix. And as soon as you do, you're going to improve way faster. And number 7 is the one barely anyone is doing, but it's honestly the most important one of them all. Now, real quick, one of, if not the biggest mistake people make is that they don't focus on their weaknesses. And we've now got to the point where this is easier than ever, but not everyone knows about why it's become so much easier. So let me explain why as quickly as possible. Because now you can use Snapping to watch your gameplay and find your mistakes and then track all of them so you know what your biggest weaknesses are and what's actually costing you games. But then it uses all of your weaknesses, goals, time limit and everything to build you fully personalized routines focused on your weaknesses using all the up-to-date best practice methods, some of which you have probably never heard of. You also get unlimited pro-level coaching from Snapping's AI coach, which also knows all of your weaknesses and remembers every conversation you've ever had with your coach. Now, if you want to check this out before the prices go up, then click the link in the description or the pinned comment. The first mistake, and probably the most common one, is that players do what's fun instead of what's right. So let me give you an example. You've got 2 players who both want to go pro. Player 1 plays for 5 hours and follows a proper routine. He warms up his aim, he plays fights against good players, he plays scrims and he lurks back at his deaths. And player 2 plays for 8 hours, but he just plays zone wars with his friends who are worse than him, and maybe does some ranked and maybe does a few scrims, but just plays the scrims for fun. Now, you'd think player 2 improves more because he played longer, but that's actually completely wrong. Player 1 improves way faster, even though he played less, because every single thing he did was pointed at his weaknesses. So this is basically the trap. Most players just hop on and play whatever feels good in the moment, and then they wonder why their placements never get better. So if you're serious about getting better, you've got to start doing what's right, not what's just fun. And the good news is you can actually make the right stuff fun too, which I'll get into later in this video. So mistake number 2 is overbuilding, and it's probably not what you think, but this is a huge one because so many players do it without even realizing they're doing it. You get in a fight and you're too focused on your building, your editing or your piece control, but really the first thing on your mind should always be dealing damage. Your mechanics are just there to help you get that damage off, not the other way around. So here's the thing, the best players don't panic build and they don't just build for the sake of it. They keep the pressure on their opponent, they stay calm throughout the whole fight, and they wait for the one moment where the enemy messes up. But usually they mess up even more than that. Maybe they make a bad edit, or maybe they just drop on your wall with no cover, and then the pro would punish it and deal as much damage as they can without taking any back. That's how you win fights, because at the end of the day, damage is the most important thing in a fight. If you don't deal damage, you won't win the fight. It's that simple. But when you overbuild, you're doing the opposite. If you're too focused on just doing random builds or random quad edits, you'll probably end up missing an opportunity where your opponent made a mistake. And if you just weren't overbuilding in that moment, you could have won the fight there and then by punishing that mistake. So instead of spamming builds or going for clips, always focus on dealing damage and keep the pressure on your enemy and be constantly looking for any chance to deal that damage. And when you start playing like this, you instantly become a much harder player to beat. Mistake number 3 is also pretty big, and almost everyone gets it wrong. They just don't spend nearly enough time on their fighting. So here's the truth. If you can't fight, you will never go pro. It's that simple. And when you actually think about why you die in tournaments, it's almost always a fight you should have won. You missed an edit, you got piece controlled, or you missed a shot, or something like that. And all of that comes down to fighting. So you want to be spending at least 60% of your total time on the game just improving your fighting. Really, you want 60 to 70%. So if you play 5 hours a day, that's about 3 hours or so that you want to be focused on fighting. The playbook for most people who actually really want to go pro is a warm-up, and then it's all fighting practice, and then when there's a scrim session, you play that scrim session, but when there isn't a scrim session, you're focused on your fighting only. But most players spend like 20% of their time fighting, or maybe 30%, and then wonder why they keep losing all their fights. One of the best ways to fix your fighting is doing 1v1s against someone better than you, and playing creative fighting practice against good players. It's genuinely so important. I know I go on about it a lot, but this is extremely important. And this actually leads me into mistake number 4, because who you fight matters just as much as how you fight. So mistake 4 is practicing against the same friend you've already beaten 100 times, or just playing against players who are worse than you in general. This is honestly one of the biggest time wasters there is, because when you play against someone worse than you get away with bad habits. You can take bad peeks, you can make bad edits, and nothing will really happen. And it's just because they're not good enough to punish you. So your brain just thinks those plays are totally fine, and then you go into a real tournament against a good player and they punish you for every single one of those habits, and you end up losing. So if you want results nobody else gets, you've got to practice in a way nobody else does. And that means playing against people who are better than you, or at the very least the same skill level as you. Because playing good players is genuinely one of the fastest ways to improve, and playing bad players is one of the slowest, or it can literally make your tournament placements worse, or keep you stuck at the same level. But this next one is a mistake that I think stops the most talented players from ever going pro. And it's all about the way you think. Let's say it's the last game of a solo tournament and you need a top 3 to get a good result. Most people are playing not to lose and just to survive. So because you're playing not to lose, not only will you be scared to take a fight that you might need, otherwise you'll never be able to win the game anyway, so you might end up going into the final zone with the worst loot in the entire lobby on low health and just hoping to make it at least get some placement points or something. But then you've basically given yourself the worst possible odds of winning. A pro in that exact same spot plays to win instead. If they're scuffed, they have the confidence to go and fight and win that fight because they know it's their only chance at winning that game. And they also make game-winning plays, like going up on height to win the game, or claiming low ground. They're 2 examples of game-winning plays that pros do, and that most competitive players are hesitant to do. But obviously they're all situational, but hopefully you get the point. And here's the key part. Even if that pro goes for the big plays and dies, he still knows it was the right call because he was playing to win. If he didn't go for that play, he might not have called for the tournament anyway, so it's worth taking that risk. At the end of the day, if you don't take these risks ever in your career, you're never going to go pro. So you may as well start going for these plays and making them mistakes now so you can learn from them faster and go pro faster. In this game, if you want to be one of the best players or you want to be known as special, you've got to be okay with taking that play and playing for the win, and also having the confidence to do it. So next time you play, when you get a chance to qualify or actually win a game, so just keep this in mind. But mistake 6 is the difference between a top 2000 player and a top 200 player. And it's not aim and it's not mechanics, it's just how smart you are. Because there are thousands of players with good enough mechanics to go pro who are never gonna make it just because they don't actually think. Most players take fights without ever asking themselves one simple question: is this a good fight to take? Pros don't do that. Not only do they have pre-game plans where they already know basically what they're doing before they even load into a game, but they also think about the decisions they're about to make and whether it's worth it or not. So this brings me to mistake number 7, and honestly this might be the most important one of them all. You don't look back at why you died, and you don't VOD review. I know some of you probably don't want to hear this, and some of you are probably going to feel like you're going to click off the video, and if you want to do that, then go ahead, I'm not stopping you. But here's the thing, if you don't look at your mistakes, you're just going to keep making the same ones, and you'll never understand why your placements aren't moving to where you want them to be. But still, lots of people don't actually do this. They just die and then just keep on queuing up game after game and tournament after tournament, and they might improve their tournament placements a little bit, but you're never going to improve your tournament placements a lot, and there is absolutely zero chance you'll ever go pro if you don't look at your mistakes and learn from them. And it doesn't have to be some boring 3-hour session of watching replays either. For sure, if you do that, you're definitely going to improve, but some people it is boring, so it can be as simple as this. Every time you die, just take a second and ask yourself, why did you die? And in scrims, just look after every game whilst you're waiting for the next scrim code or scrim session. Just look at how you died. Let's say you play 5 scrim games and you just look for 5 minutes after each game. That means every day you're going to VOD review for 25 minutes total. And that might not seem like a lot, but trust me, going from 0 to 25 minutes of VOD reviewing every day will genuinely improve your game sense so much. And if you stay consistent, I promise you will improve your tournament placements. That's why the players who actually do this improve so much faster than everyone else, because they're fixing the real problem instead of just guessing. Now, snapping can help you VOD review faster as well. You can just upload a clip and it will tell you exactly why you died and what you should do next time. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out, and like I mentioned earlier, there's a ton of other features like unlimited coaching and personalized routines, so make sure to check it out if you're actually serious about improving. But those are 7 mistakes that lots of competitive players are making. I hope this helped. If it did, please make sure to like and subscribe, and also comment what video you want to see next so I can make videos you guys actually want to see. Either way, if you're serious about this, make sure to grind, put in the effort, and stay consistent, and check out Snapping if you want the only fully personalized coaching system that's built completely for you. Thank you for watching.